Hey guys, Channel Weird. I'm Clyde Lewis. So glad to be here today. Glad you could join us. We do this every week, every Saturday. We do it at 11 o'clock Pacific time, then we re-air again at 7 p.m. Just so many people who tune in, can get an early shot of the show live, and then of course we rerun it again at 7 p.m. Pacific time on several different channels, Twitch, on Facebook, of course, and then we do it on YouTube and several other locales. Roku, I believe we're going to be starting soon as well, if we haven't done it already. So we're everywhere and anywhere, and it's just a little bit of fun, exposing or at least interviewing people that we consider to be part of the weird culture here in Portland, Oregon. We are weird, keeping Portland weird here on Channel Weird. We're here at the TalkCast PDX studios, and we're very grateful to have this opportunity to talk with, I don't know if you could call him a resident weirdo. He's been, he's involved with ghosts. Okay, then I guess that does sound kind of weird. Planning committee member, sponsor, vendor, coordinator at the Oregon Ghost Conference, Mr. Aaron Collins is with us. How long have we known each other? We've known each other for years.
Years.
I know I met you at the Ghost Conference in Oregon City when it first started there. It was like a school, some kind of school.
The Oregon City High School.
Yes. And
very small.
Yeah, it was a very small venue then, but now it's a huge venue out of the seaside.
It is.
And what's sad is that I go there every year. I do a presentation every year, and it's been a year now since we haven't had the gathering out there at the beach at the seaside, because it was one of the first events that hit the cancel button after COVID-19.
Yes.
And they closed down everything on Seaside. They wouldn't let us into the auditoriums or anything to do our...
Right.
So what now? I mean, I was reading that they're going to do a virtual version, I guess, this year.
Yes.
Of the Ghost Conference.
Yes.
But when that happened, I mean, what was the overall feeling and attitude?
The feeling was, like everyone else, we were bummed. There's a lot of time, a lot of, aside from the money that's put up to secure the location, which is the convention center in Seaside, but there's a lot of time that's put into planning the committee, or planning the Oregon Ghost Conference. So you can imagine, we plan a year ahead. So as soon as we're done with one Ghost Conference, immediately we start planning for the next year's. So we were all pretty bummed, especially Rocky Smith. He's the founder of the Oregon Ghost Conference, and he really puts his heart and soul into it. So he was pretty upset, along with all of us. Yourself, you're one of the speakers, presenters. You've been a big part of the Oregon Ghost Conference, which we appreciate you being every year. And so, and a lot of the people that have been involved over the years, and newcomers as well, they were pretty upset, along with the rest of America, who had to put their lives on hold. So it's been tough. So everything has been, along with everyone else, has been put on virtual, so to speak. Yeah. So including, schools, everything has been virtual, meetings, doctor's appointments. Yeah. Ghost Conference has been no exception.
I think, I've noticed that, Northwest is a pretty hot paranormal territory. I mean, we've got all these strange mysteries from cryptozoology, cryptos like Bigfoot, and we have ghosts in various places. We have haunted lighthouses and all kinds of crazy stuff, near the oceans. And it's sad because, I mean, I have a lot of people who have, they send me emails all the time saying, well, we remember when Ground Zero was paranormal. Well, so do I. We are paranormal, but right. I think when they associate paranormal, they associate it with ghosts.
Right.
And the reality is this: there is no ghost hunting in COVID. And that's the problem. And then there's no new material. So you find yourself going over old material and no new EVP, no new ghost contacts. And the only thing, the only thing that I can see is that you're going to have to, if you want to do anything paranormal, you're going to have to call it out yourself.
Right.
And that's leaning towards something called necromancy.
Right.
I know that I'm not opposed to doing a Ouija board on the air, and I've done one before. But a lot of people have a lot of scary experiences with those things.
Sure.
But I'm not the type of guy that's going to go on the air and just throw out a Ouija board and say, let's do it. I mean, the paranormal itself doesn't always perform as planned.
Right.
And so when you're going on a ghost hunt, which nobody is because of COVID, you shake your head and you're like saying, how am I going to do a paranormal presentation when no one is, how long has it been since you've been on a ghost hunt?
It's been quite some time. It's been since before COVID.
Right.
In fact, I get emails, and during this whole COVID, which brings up another point. We've all been stuck at home. General America has been stuck at home. People have been working from home. So what's happened? Well, people started noticing things. The paranormal activity has hit an all-time high at home.
Yeah, I was about to tell you that. Yeah, it's true. I did a show I did Ground Zero show where I realized, being at home, that there were things in my home that were a little paranormal in a lot of ways, and that was only the one time I was hearing voices in my house. Thought I was hallucinating. Thought I was having an auditory hallucination, but I started recording these voices. And the other night, I was sitting at the table working on a project with my computer, and the cats were like looking around, and all of a sudden I heard this sound like scratching on the wall. Now, it could be anything. It could be a mouse. It could be, it could be termites. We don't have termites, and we certainly don't have mice. So I was just thinking, what is scratching? And all the animals were looking around too. And and I know that something weird's happening in my home when the animals start getting weird, and they're getting weird again. We live in a highly, I guess you could call it, magnetic area because of seismic activity. We got a volcano, we got Mount Hood that's rumbling now, and we got a few things going on. But you go to areas like Mount Adams, where of course ECETI is. You see the orbs, and you see all these things. But there was a time that I recall I would be going on 3 or 4 ghost hunts within a year. The last one I went to was Forest Grove. We were at the what do you call the Freemason Masonic Lodge that was turned into a hotel.
Yes, yeah.
And we were there, stayed in the most haunted room there in the hotel, and we had some very interesting paranormal activity. We had a bucket that was kicked near the fireplace, and I remember sleeping and somebody grabbing my toe in the middle of the night.
Wow.
So, that was probably the last real ghost experience I had, or a ghost hunt that I went on. And I went on it with my wife arranged it because she said, well, damn, we got to do something. And we did it. And then COVID happened because all of the stuff that we did at the Forest Grove Lodge was going to be presented at the Ghost Conference.
Right.
No ghost conference, no presentation, all that material. We don't know what we did with it. We had it all on tape. And we had some very interesting voices come through and all kinds of other stuff. But it wreaks havoc on this stuff.
We call it paranormal, but is it really paranormal? Because we're all spending all this time at home as before we weren't. So to the spirits, for them, that's paranormal. Us being there all the time. Right. It's not normal for them. And so now they're amped up because they're like, what in the heck is going on? Why are you people here?
Yeah,
so they're trying to communicate and find out what's going on. So they're lashing out in a sense, not lashing out, but just saying, making themselves known and wanting to communicate, saying what in the world's going on.
Well, it's like I think I called the show When It Knows You're Home.
Yeah.
And basically, you don't realize because you're hardly home because you're going to work and you're doing these things. And when you're at work, you don't know what's going on in your house. You don't know if things are moving. And
your animals do.
Oh yeah, they're exposed to it. Yeah. But then there was the time where spending a lot of time at home.
Right.
Doing more things at home late at night. I'm up at night. My wife is in bed. My stepson's in bed. So I'm the only one that keeps the late night fires burning because I come home from work around 10 or 11 o'clock and I'm tired, but I want to relax. I watch a little TV, maybe, I even drink coffee at night sometimes if I want. And it's not to stay awake, but I drink it, get like a half calf going on and just want to relax.
I'm guilty of this.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there and I just, all of a sudden I'm hearing voices. And lately it's been weird because ever since the lockdown, I have been very sensitive to sounds, little snaps or pops or knocks or whatever. And I've been hearing a lot of weird things in the house. And, you don't want to, you're not going to leap to that outrageous idea that your house is haunted.
Sure.
But then after a while, you seem to ask yourself, wait a minute, am I in a home that, I've been away from it, working, and now that I'm here, I'm sharing this home with ghosts.
Right.
And that's always I may do another show where I revisit that. But the problem is, though, is if you're doing anything dealing with ghosts, people want proof.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because, and I'm sure and they have some strange, I think, image and action parameter about what a ghostly encounter is like.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them would be surprised at how mundane ghost encounters really are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not like what you see in the movies.
Right.
There are a lot of things. I mean, when you have had your encounters, I mean, you're part of Northwest Paranormal. You guys have done investigation. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you've experienced the most in ghost hunts?
As far as activity goes?
Yeah, I mean, what is it that have you seen anything or experienced anything that you couldn't explain that certainly tells you right then and there? I mean, EVP is one thing, but sighting and feeling something is another.
Oh yeah, I had an experience. One of my first experiences many years ago was a house in North Portland, and we were in the basement, and the claims were that the homeowners were experiencing seeing apparitions, things were moving in the house, all kinds of things. So we were in the basement, and I was using an EVP, or actually not EVP, it was a EMF detector. There was a bicycle, and I could literally outline a person sitting on the bike using the EMF detector.
Wow.
And then it was gone. And one of the psychic mediums at the time that was on the team said, Aaron, this person is here on this side. So I went to the other side of the basement, and as I ran to the other side, I went through what I think it was the apparition. If you've ever been, I don't think I've ever been electrocuted, but this was probably the closest to it. It was the most electric charge I have ever been through. Yep. And if I had had hair at the time, it would have been standing on end. I mean, it was just a full electric charge, but it wasn't like I was going to pass out, fall down with a heart attack or anything like that. It was just my entire body. And soon after, I opened a door that led to under the steps and porch of this old home. The house was built around the 1900s, early 1900s. Right. So it was all dirt in this particular area. Opened the door, and there was the apparition of a young boy. I believe around 14 years old. That's what I think. Now, I did get EVPs from that investigation, but that was just, for me, it was unbelievable. Yeah. First, walking through that particular apparition, feeling what I felt, I've never felt that before a day in my life. And I've never felt it since. It was unbelievable. I couldn't explain it, still can't really explain it. I can't say 100%, yes, that was an apparition I walked through, but I'm convinced that that's what happened.
I felt something once at a cemetery in Washington. I think Washington cemeteries are haunted. Some of these ones that are in like Washougal and all the the old cemeteries. Old ones, yeah. And we went through one, and I swear I felt something shoot through my feet, go up through my body, and it was electronic charge like you're talking about. Yeah. And it was enough for me where I said to the guy that was with me, I says, "Get your camera out and snap a picture immediately." And when he did, there was this big white whatever it was jumping out of my chest. What? It was a white, kind of a wispy, I don't know how to explain it. I didn't see it, but I saw the flash as it was coming out of me.
Wow.
Because, I mean, here I am in the middle of it. It's just coming out of me. And sure. I was just, wondering what the hell. But I felt that electrical charge, which, again, puts us in that mindset that what we're dealing with is an electromagnetic disturbance. That's what ghosts are. These electromagnetic disturbances that somehow draw power to them enough to somehow appear to us. Yeah. And that's the clincher. When they're grabbing that much power in a certain space, what is that? Is that like a depression that we have, or some sort of imprint that we have in this matrix we're in, where something so traumatizing causes this imprint into whatever it is we're in, and that's why we see the haunting. That's why we see apparitions. Either they're a repetitive haunting, or these ghosts are interacting with us. Right. And it's just bizarre.
And that's what people need to understand. There's a difference. Yeah. There's a difference between a haunting and a residual haunting.
We'll talk more about that coming up. We got Aaron Collins with us, and fascinating topic about ghosts, the paranormal. Not many of us are going out on ghost hunts because of COVID, and that's probably why you're not hearing a lot of paranormal stories, but here in the Northwest, we have Aaron Collins right here on Channel Weird. We'll be back.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com.
Following a disaster, your home emergency kit will be invaluable. Building a kit doesn't take long, and you'll be glad you did when disaster strikes. Here's a list of items to include: a first aid kit, battery-powered or hand crank radio, flashlight, extra batteries, an emergency whistle, cell phone with charger, cash and small bills, a local map with your family meeting place identified, food and water to last 2 weeks, garbage bags, dust masks, and seasonal clothing and footwear. Add prescription medications or any other important items unique to your family's needs. Once you've created your kit, check food expiry dates once a year and update seasonal clothing for growing children. If you have pets, make sure you have everything your furry friends need in an easy-to-carry grab-and-go bag. To learn more about preparing an emergency kit, visit mil.wa.gov/preparedness and get 2 weeks ready.
Be sure to get your low-cost 2-week supply of food with a miraculous 25-year shelf life by going to preparewithgroundzero.com.
Have you noticed that well-known and controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored on the internet by corporate and political interests? This is Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero Radio. And in order to counter against the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digitalized playground called Aftermath.media. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring videos, movies, audio clips, archive shows, ebooks, e-magazines, documents, and so much more. Our news aggregator, Nucifer, provides current news relating to many of the topics we cover. We'll also be hosting other Ground Zero-friendly podcasts like Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott and The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Aftermath.media has a social media platform along with a chat room to interact with many of our listeners. And about once a month, you can chat with me about anything. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are now available. The monthly subscription for Aftermath.media is only $9.99 a month. This includes exclusive access to our library and Ground Zero archive podcasts. If you're just interested in having access to the archive podcast, it's only $4.99 a month. So sign up today by going to Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media. Aaron Collins with us today on Channel Weird, talking about ghosts, paranormal. Many of us aren't getting out much to do paranormal investigations because of the fact that we're locked down in COVID. I guess when they lift the COVID restrictions, we could probably go out and frolic again, those horror, scary places, cemeteries, and the like. Now, we were talking about two different types of hauntings that you wanted to explain to us. So
Right.
Go right ahead and explain to us the different types of hauntings there are.
So there's hauntings that's intelligent hauntings, which means that we can actually communicate with the spirits. And then there's residual, which is like if you think about a videotape, VHS tape is what I like to refer to, that's constantly on loop. So you see the same thing all the time, same apparition, same thing happening. Let's say the apparition walking the same path every day, every night, at the same time, let's say. So that's residual. And so a lot of people mix those two up with each other. So, and especially now that people are at home all the time, they may see a residual and think, oh my goodness, there's somebody haunting my place. You're just seeing an imprint in time from the past of someone who may have lived in that particular location, had walked that path 150,000 times in their lifetime in that particular location. And that's what you're seeing. For what reason? I don't know. We don't know. That's why we research. That's why we're investigators.
See, that's why, I think a lot of people, this whole idea that we live in a simulation is kind of an interesting concept, because if that's the case, there are times when we get glitches in the system, and those glitches produce ghosts, or they produce echoes in time, or time is trying to sew itself back together again. We're like in the middle of some sort of I guess you could call it a paradox or matrix, where we're trying to whatever it is going on, trying to correct itself.
Right.
And so it's kind of like watching I guess you could call it a GIF, animated GIF. Yeah. Where the animated GIF keeps going the same over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly what we got with ghost activity. It's residual ghost activity, is where you're seeing the same thing repeat over and over again. It's kind of like the trauma has been so great that people sense it, or they feel it, or it's going over and over again in this loop in the head. And they're saying now that when you look at quantum physics, those loops exist, that there's retrocausality and causality, that perhaps we could even see an echo from the future. And with superposition, this is what's really odd, with superposition, even the living can haunt an area.
Yes.
Which is really bizarre, because somebody could say, well, I saw a ghost of you, but I'm alive. How can there be a ghost of me? Because for some reason, due to superposition, which is this new, I don't know if it's new, but it's just the idea that you can be in two places at once, meaning that, because of this whole quantum, I guess you could call it this conundrum we're in, with the quantum conundrum, trying to figure out why the consciousness of the human form can be seen everywhere.
Right.
And that, that you can actually say, well, I saw you no, I was home. No, I saw you. And that is, I think, a new concept that hasn't been explored much in the paranormal, is the idea that the concept that even if you're living, you can haunt a place.
Oh, yeah.
Our
bodies are so powerful. Yeah. And we are energy. And when we believe, as paranormal investigators, when we die, our bodies obviously are going back to the earth. But what happens to our soul? We're energy. And so we believe that the orbs that we see and that we capture are our souls, are us, and in forms of balls of energy. So who's to say that we can't, while we're still alive, do such a thing?
I had somebody, I used to frequent this place. I used to go to the Ross Island Grocery to have coffee every day. I used to sit there and be on my computer, and they had free Wi-Fi, and I drank a lot of coffee and was all wired, sitting on the computer doing my work. And then what happened is that they moved from the old market to this new one. It was this new place they opened up. But somebody had said that while they were moving things out, they actually heard my voice in the old market speaking.
Really?
They said they thought they heard me, and they thought I was walking in. They said it was the weirdest thing. They said, we heard you speaking, and we went, where's Clyde? He's not there. and that's the first time I ever heard of that. I said, well, I haven't been there because the market's been closed all this time, so there's no way I could have been there. So I thought, I never knew anything about superposition. I didn't know anything about what that was. And I learn more about it the more I get into this quantum entanglement.
Right.
And I like looking at the paranormal now on a quantum level. So if people just want me to tell a good ghost story, that's fine.
Sure.
If you want to do a good ghost investigation, that's fine. But what I'm doing now is I'm realizing that there's something about ghosts that have a quantum entanglement with living beings. And so it's a quantum thing now for me. It's not necessarily a haunting, but it's something more.
Right. That's interesting. Going back to us all being at home and the activity, I get emails all the time from people that want help. That's what I'm about. I'm not about just wanting to go and investigate for fun anymore. There was a time period, yes, being an ordained minister and having a heart to help people, having the skills that I've acquired over the years as an investigator, I want to help people. So I get emails all the time from people wanting me to come and help. Since COVID, I have to think of safety first, and I just can't. I can't go into homes due to that. And so it's troublesome for me because I want to help. And so I have to, June Lundgren, who obviously you know very well, she's been on the show many times.
The Demon Slayer.
The Demon Slayer, yes, the Demon Seer. But she's also a great, respectable psychic medium and is able to remote view. She's able to remote help. So she can focus on whatever location that people are having trouble, and she can determine through that who's haunting or if it's demonic, negative, whatever, and determine who it is and what it is and take care of it remotely. So I've had to outsource to her for that reason. So
I've, over time, when you do this, or as long as I've done it, you tend to become cynical, not necessarily skeptical, because I've seen powers work. I've seen them work, in front of me, miracles and apparitions and things. I've seen them on ghost hunts. I had many experiences I can relate that, convince me that, something definitely is happening. But one of the things that I got really tired of over the years, and that is that if you're going to go into a ghost hunt, please express to the person you're with or the person that you're doing the ghost hunt for that either you're there to observe and to record, or you're there to exercise. And I think a lot of people believe that when you go, I've seen ghost hunters do this, and it pisses me off. They go in, they think they're exorcists. And they go in and they say things like, go to the light, go to the light, go to the light. And I'm thinking, you know what? Yeah, I saw Poltergeist too,
Right.
And it's like, and I always tell people, like I'd say, I was at a ghost hunt once. I don't know who the person was, but there was this woman that kept saying, I know that there's a spirit in the room. I need you to go to the light. And I just stopped the ghost hunt right there, and I looked at her and I said, I need you to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And she said, what? I said, I need you to go to the bathroom.
Go to the light to the bathroom.
Go to the bathroom. She goes, no. I says, go to the bathroom. No. Go to the bathroom. No. How do you think a ghost feels when you tell it to go to the light?
Right.
And it doesn't want to go to the light.
Exactly.
And we want to basically figure out what the hell it wants to say to us, because if there's a ghost that's going to interact with you, don't sit there and say, go to the light. It's like telling it to go to the bathroom. It's like telling it, go outside, go away. We don't want to. No, most people, when you go on these ghost things, they like their ghosts. They don't want their ghosts to go away. They just want to know why they have them, right?
Well, and I just received an email from a lady who I am going to help, and she said, I just want to know who's here, why they're here, and if it's something that we can coexist with. And so you're absolutely 100% right. I have found with communicating with spirits that not all of them want to.
No.
They're trying to communicate. They have something to say, and not everybody can hear them. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to communicate, and if they can coexist, okay.
I can just imagine this. Some person loses a loved one, right? Yeah. They die, and the loved one didn't have a chance to say goodbye. The loved one shows up in ghost form and says, honey, I just want to tell you I love you. Go to the light.
Exactly.
Go to the light. I don't want to talk to you.
Right.
Go away. It's such BS.
I know. That's why, look, Clyde, you know me well enough to know now, I treat people with respect. I treat people the way I want to be treated.
You should treat ghosts with respect.
The same thing.
Right.
I treat people in life the same way I treat people in death. And
treat your hallucinations with respect.
Absolutely.
If you see something and you don't know if it's there or not, treat it with respect.
You dang right. That's right.
Because it's like, you don't know what it's going to do to you, Oh, look, my hallucination's about to kill me.
Right.
I don't know.
And that's true, though.
I know.
I mean, people, they don't understand. And you got to be careful.
Right.
These people throwing, just holy water at everything, and you don't know what you're doing.
No.
Same thing with the Ouija board.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
If we can talk about that just for a second, a disclaimer. Look, you don't know what you're doing.
Don't touch
do
it. Yeah, don't
Thank
do
you.
it. Yes.
There's a way to do it and a way to not do it.
You've opened up a wound. We're going to talk about that
right.
coming up. This is a great interview. Aaron Collins, a very smart Ghostbuster, with us tonight on Channel Weird. We'll be back with more.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm. From brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries. Be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com.
Following a disaster, your home emergency kit will be invaluable. Building a kit doesn't take long, and you'll be glad you did when disaster strikes. Here's a list of items to include: a first aid kit, battery-powered or hand crank radio, flashlight, extra batteries, an emergency whistle, cell phone with charger, cash and small bills, a local map with your family meeting place identified, food and water to last 2 weeks, garbage bags, dust masks, and seasonal clothing and footwear. Add prescription medications or any other important items unique to your family's needs. Once you've created your kit, check food expiry dates once a year and update seasonal clothing for growing children. If you have pets, make sure you have everything your furry friends need in an easy-to-carry grab-and-go bag. To learn more about preparing an emergency kit, visit mil.wa.gov/preparedness and get 2 weeks ready.
Be sure to get your low-cost 2-week supply of food with a miraculous 25-year shelf life by going to preparewithgroundzero.com.
Have you noticed that well-known and controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored on the internet by corporate and political interests? This is Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero Radio. And in order to counter against the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digitalized playground called Aftermath.media. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring videos, movies, audio clips, archive shows, ebooks, e-magazines, documents, and so much more. Our news aggregator, Nucifer, provides current news relating to many of the topics we cover. We'll also be hosting other Ground Zero-friendly podcasts like Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott and The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Aftermath.media has a social media platform along with a chat room to interact with many of our listeners. And about once a month, you can chat with me about anything. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are now available. The monthly subscription for Aftermath.media is only $9.99 a month. This includes exclusive access to our library and Ground Zero archive podcasts. If you're just interested in having access to the archive podcast, it's only $4.99 a month. So sign up today by going to Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media. Welcome to Channel Weird. I'm Clyde Lewis. Aaron Collins with us. Such a great opportunity to talk with a real Ghostbuster. Ghostbuster. You doing a Ghostbusting? Ouija boards.
Yes.
I swear, nothing raises the cockles of someone's neck when you say Ouija board. And I think that the overreaction to Ouija boards is just stupid. It's stupid. And the reason why is because I believe that everybody who said, I had a bad experience with a Ouija board, are lying. Not everybody has had a bad experience with a Ouija board. Some people have, granted, okay? And you know why? Because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
That's the key.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
No. And it serves them right, because I always say to myself, if I ever die, I'm going to ask God for a Ouija board, dude. And the reason why is because I want to scare the holy shit.
Ouija board duty.
I want to scare the shit out of these
Lord, I hope
kids
you're
that don't know
listening to
what
this.
I want to scare kids. I want to just do that in my
goodness
afterlife. Have some fun.
Are
Scare
you
the
going to
kids.
pop out of the Ouija board?
Oh yeah, pop out, grab the neck, and say, "You don't know what the hell you're doing." Do something like that.
Oh my gosh.
No, the thing about bad experiences with Ouija boards is because people think, "Oh, I get this fun little thing called a Ouija board. It's blessed by Mattel or Hasbro or Parker Brothers
they
or
even
something."
have Barbie.
Yeah, Ouija board Barbie.
Well, the pink Barbie style for girls. I mean, give me a break.
I'm Ouija board
Is
Barbie.
Johnny going to ask me out this weekend? Yes or no?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean, really?
they have. I mean, that's just what it is. It's like a magic 8-ball,
Right.
but on a board.
And then all of a sudden it goes.
It goes.
Goes
I
all
am
the
the
way
devil.
to-
Brr.
You
but
will burn. Well, let's put that away.
I just the thing with the Ouija board is that I, for the longest time, was afraid of Ouija boards.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because I heard these stories.
Sure.
And after doing some investigating, I found that a lot of these stories are BS. That people don't have experiences like this. That they think they do.
Well, Clyde, what's the difference between a Ouija board and EVPs?
Nothing.
Honestly.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay? Because what you're doing is you're asking the dead to speak to you.
Exactly.
If you're asking the dead to speak to you, it just so happens to show up in your radio or your toaster oven,
Right.
it doesn't matter
Right.
because it doesn't have those little numbers and it doesn't have those little symbols on it.
Right.
So, yeah, what's the difference between a Ouija board and a pendulum?
Exactly.
Nothing.
Nothing.
What's the difference between a Ouija board and those rods?
Nothing. Exactly.
And because if you're going to be playing in the occult realm, you're playing with all of the tools. What's the difference between a Ouija board and tarot cards?
Nothing.
They're all tools
Right.
to basically. I mean, you can do it without tarot cards. You can do it without Ouija boards.
You
can
don't
do it-
need anything.
No,
You can
it's
just talk.
called automatic writing. You can
Right,
even
with
sit there and
that
go,
too, yeah.
"I'm getting the message from the great beyond," blah 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 blah, and that's what a medium does. And you have to wonder if the medium's credible.
Sure.
The thing about the Ouija board is that no one that has had an experience is everyone who's had an experience that's been bad is because they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know that they're not supposed to do certain things. You're not supposed to ask a Ouija board when you're going to die.
Sure.
You're not supposed to do a Ouija board alone. You're not supposed to, you should ask general questions of a Ouija board, not personal questions of a Ouija board, because then you get into something called voluntary entrapment, where all you're doing is you're using the Ouija board for divination. Divination with the spirits is called necromancy,
Right.
and it's a sin, kids. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to ask spirits about your future, because that is wrong. I mean, you can ask general questions about the future, but when you're asking personal questions of a board, I mean, think of how silly that is. And another thing too is. And it's not wrong for ghost investigators or anybody who believes the Ouija boards work at all to say that it's an ideomotor response in the subconscious that runs the Ouija board.
Yeah.
That means what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to the spirits to come in, and it gets into your hands or whatever, and your hands move, or the planchette moves under your hands. And that's why they say, well, they blindfolded people. It didn't work. Because that's how it doesn't work.
Right.
You have to see the freaking board. It's like, that's what I thought was kind of stupid. They did this experiment where blindfolding people to use a Ouija board. Well, what the hell does that do?
Right.
You're supposed to be
Right.
able to see the damn thing.
Right.
So I think Ouija boards, they get a bad rap.
Yeah.
And every time, like, I hear other talk show hosts, I won't name names, it goes,
Sure.
"Oh, the Ouija board is blah, blah, blah." No, be objective and understand that Ouija
Know how to
boards
use it.
sometimes,
Yeah. Here's the thing. Know how to. I go into every investigation and everything.
And you're a
I
minister
do-
for crying out loud.
Right. And I pray first.
Yes, you should.
Being
You
a
should
Christian
pray.
minister, yeah.
Yes.
I pray to God first.
Right.
And then when you're done, close it.
Yeah.
You have to close that door because
You should
it's
do
like,
that when you go on investigations.
Absolutely.
When we go
the
to a
one
cemetery.
time I didn't, Clyde, and anybody can see it on.
Right.
I was on Ghost Adventures for it.
Right.
Because I was attacked by a demon, and it's because I didn't protect myself
Right.
before,
Right.
and it was a stupid mistake, the one and only. Anyways, my point is, you don't open a door. It's like opening your front door when you get home. Are you going to open the door and leave it wide open? No, you're going to close it, because not just good spirits can come in, but bad spirits, negative spirits, and demonic.
It's important that, like you say, even if you go to a cemetery, you're doing, you're investigating a cemetery, investigating a ghost thing. You always say, we are coming in. You be kind. You be aware. You say, we're coming in and we want good spirits to speak with us.
Right.
We want all the spirits in the room to speak with us. And then when you're finished, you say, we are now leaving, and we don't want any of the spirits to come with us. We want to be able to leave you where you are, and please allow us it doesn't mean they're going to agree with you, but at least you're letting them know that you don't want anything residual.
Right.
Because there are many times, like you say, where you don't do it and you do have residual. I had to have June work on me because apparently my wife had told me that, when we did an investigation at a theater in Astoria, that there was this, she saw this spirit that was attached to me. There was this little girl that was just tagging on me, and I needed to get it cast off me.
Oh, I got to hear all about that. Off air, though.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that
it's
was
a long
it was pretty
story.
weird, and June did it, but one of the scariest things that happened to me with a Ouija board, worst experience I ever had, was because of someone who broke the rules at a seance. One of the things you never do when using a Ouija board is you never, ever use a Ouija board where you're either on drugs, we're talking about sedatives or things like oxycodone or alcohol. You should never use a Ouija board. We had a gathering at a bar that was haunted. And we did this overnight sleepover. No, it wasn't Astoria. It was just right over here it was right here off Grand. Just over here, there's this place. It was called the Rose and Raindrop.
Oh, I loved that place. The cigar and oyster place. Oh, I loved that place.
Rose and Raindrop was
great.
haunted. It was haunted bad. And the owners were ready to leave the place, and they said, what we need is somebody to come in and exercise the place. I said, first of all, I don't know what we're dealing with. So we got in there. We found out that the place was haunted by a woman named Stella Robinson. And she had told us on the Ouija board that she had a grave at the Lone Fir Cemetery, and that she was separated from her son, who was buried in a cemetery out here near Gresham. And we thought this is the most amazing thing. And certainly we did the homework afterwards. But what we found out is that we were doing a seance in one of the top rooms. We asked everybody to come in. They come in. We said, you cannot be drunk because people were drinking. So please don't come in drunk. If you're going to participate, make sure that you follow our rules. We gave a list of rules and everything. So we came in, and we were doing this seance. And all of a sudden, we had corners. We had women that were the corners of the room, and they were there watching. We had all corners, north, south, east, and west. They were watching to make sure nothing went down that was weird, and they would actually stop the seance if anything went down. We're doing this seance, and all of a sudden, the board spells out OBYSOUTH, OB South, or OB Sooth. And I thought, whoa, what is this? And so I looked around, and as soon as Obi Sooth said on the board that it was there, all the women in the room started doubling over, like they were having stomach cramps. They were just having cramps. This older woman that was sitting at the table was not, and this younger girl was sitting at the table, and she wasn't. But all the other women in the room were. And sitting across from me, I said to my assistant, I says, please find out who Obi Sooth is or what Obi Sooth is. Looked it up on the internet. Obi Sooth was a demon that got on the board that was a demon that basically enters into the wombs of women and kills their children. It's the demon of killing of children. So all these women were doubling over because something was trying to get into them. And come to find out that the woman that was sitting across from me, she had drank and she was pregnant.
Oh my gosh, no.
And so that demon was looking for her baby. Wow. So I canceled the entire thing, closed the board, closed everything. The women started feeling better. But the only reason why this one older woman didn't get sick was because she had a hysterectomy.
Oh my gosh.
And the girl that was with her was too young to be in the bar.
Oh, wow.
So she was in the bar. She was not of age. So we had rule breaker number one, the girl that was not supposed to be in the bar, and the big rule breaker, the woman drinking who was pregnant. And she was going to sue me, saying that I was trying to kill her child. I said, you were
my
drinking.
Gosh, are you kidding me?
No.
After you had all those rules.
Yes,
Wow.
and so that was it's because you break the rules while working with a Ouija board, and the Ouija board will bite you in the butt.
Absolutely. Perfect example.
Yes.
Well, we need to talk about the Portland Underground and the Shanghai tunnels.
We'll
at
do
some
that.
point if we have a few minutes.
Yeah, we have
When we
another
come
segment.
back.
Okay, we'll do that. That's another one, too. Aaron Collins with us on Channel Weird. It's a weird world. We'll be back with more. Don't go away.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Hey guys, it's Clyde Lewis. Have you ever wanted Ground Zero merchandise but didn't know where to go? Well, I want to let you know that we now have our own online store with such items as t-shirts, hoodies, decals, tote bags, and other exclusive specialty apparel. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. Coming soon will be signed posters and coffee mugs available as we are constantly adding new items. So shop today at the official Ground Zero store by going to groundzeromerch.com. That's groundzeromerch.com.
Following a disaster, your home emergency kit will be invaluable. Building a kit doesn't take long, and you'll be glad you did when disaster strikes. Here's a list of items to include: a first aid kit, battery-powered or hand crank radio, flashlight, extra batteries, an emergency whistle, cell phone with charger, cash and small bills, a local map with your family meeting place identified, food and water to last 2 weeks, garbage bags, dust masks, and seasonal clothing and footwear. Add prescription medications or any other important items unique to your family's needs. Once you've created your kit, check food expiry dates once a year and update seasonal clothing for growing children. If you have pets, make sure you have everything your furry friends need in an easy-to-carry grab-and-go bag. To learn more about preparing an emergency kit, visit mil.wa.gov/preparedness and get 2 weeks ready.
Be sure to get your low-cost 2-week supply of food with a miraculous 25-year shelf life by going to preparewithgroundzero.com.
Have you noticed that well-known and controversial talk show hosts have recently been censored on the internet by corporate and political interests? This is Clyde Lewis from Ground Zero Radio. And in order to counter against the suppression of information, we've decided to create our own private digitalized playground called Aftermath.media. It's an exclusive online multimedia library featuring videos, movies, audio clips, archive shows, ebooks, e-magazines, documents, and so much more. Our news aggregator, Newsifer, provides current news relating to many of the topics we cover. We'll also be hosting other Ground Zero-friendly podcasts like Into the Paranormal with Jeremy Scott and The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. Aftermath.media has a social media platform along with a chat room to interact with many of our listeners. And about once a month, you can chat with me about anything. Mobile apps for Android and Apple are now available. The monthly subscription for Aftermath.media is only $9.99 a month. This includes exclusive access to our library and Ground Zero archive podcasts. If you're just interested in having access to the archive podcast, it's only $4.99 a month. So sign up today by going to Aftermath.media. Again, that's Aftermath.media. Back at Channel Weird, Aaron Collins is my guest. Talking about ghosts and things that bump around, Ouija boards, switchboard to Satan. Not really. It is if you screw around. Don't screw around. No horseplay on the Ouija board. Tunnels.
We joke about that voice like that, but good Lord, we're over 50, and
I know it's hard to believe.
I think my kids think I talk like that. Right?
Yeah, well, why even go on ghost hunt? We're so old now. It's
my gosh.
I'm just going to find my way out the door.
Clyde, we're going to become armchair ghost investigators.
Ghost investigators.
Right? So the Portland, Shanghai tunnels in Portland Underground. So I was fortunate enough and honored to be trained by Michael P. Jones.
He just passed away.
Passed away a year ago.
He did a tour with us. He did a tour with us before he passed away. The last tour he did. My wife arranged a tour.
He was
Ron
fantastic.
and I and Janine had a personal tour by Michael.
Yeah.
We went to a different area of the Shanghai Tunnel. We went to the museum, the new area that they cleared out.
Yeah.
And we had a lot of activity going on in that tunnel.
I tell you what,
it was colder than hell though. It was in January.
It was very active. It is very active, and his passing was a great loss, and is a great loss to us all. I was honored to have him personally train me to do the tours, and again, it's a great loss. He was a remarkable man. For him to devote his time, his life to the underground, and the reason being not just to dig out literally, which is what he did, and have so many people volunteer to help dig out those tunnels, but to be able to tell the stories through the artifacts and through people that lived through a lot of that was incredible. And to hear the personal stories one-on-one with him, because I spent a tremendous amount of time learning from him and just listening.
Right.
He was a master storyteller. And so he is deeply missed.
There were times in the Shanghai tunnels where I've been in there, and I was with Michael, and we'd hear music, and we'd hear like what sounded like the bars of the old days.
Oh, yeah.
When they were
the old-time piano.
Yeah, the old-time piano playing. And I said to him, is that a bar upstairs we're hearing? He says, oh, no. He says, it happens all the time. You hear.
Yeah.
And this is where you're hearing these, what I call romanticized hauntings, where you're thinking you're in another time.
Yeah.
And if you blink, you're on the Barbary Coast, or you're dealing with, the Barbary Coast, of course, is San Francisco. But I'm saying that whole area from San Francisco to the ports of Portland were all being like pirates and people were being Shanghaied sent to China, and it's crazy.
Well, it's time travel. You go down to the tunnels, it's like being back in time, and if you think about how many people traveled through there unwillingly, because crimping and Shanghaiing dated back here to the 1850s,
right?
And really Shanghaiing the term didn't even make it to the dictionary until 1871, because they started it in 1850 around that time here. So back in those days, so it was brutal, and it's still happening. It's human trafficking, and that's basically all it was. But these poor men didn't even know what was happening to them until they ended up on a ship. They were gone 3 to 6 years. 3 years to make it to China, and then if they were lucky enough to live, and then 3 years to get back.
What's really bizarre though is that while you're right, it was human trafficking in the tunnels. I mean, they would take, people, drug them, drop a trap door, they'd fall into this place, they get, next thing you know, they're on a ship.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, this area is still a high area for human trafficking because of the I-5 corridor.
Yeah.
And get people, kidnap them, and take them away a lot quicker because of the corridor. But they were doing this, in this area long time ago.
Well, and that's why we devoted, and through Michael and his wife Nita, who had the nonprofit Cascade Geographic Society that put on the tours and did all the wonderful things that they were doing. But that's why we made these tours human trafficking awareness, because it was still happening. The youngest person that we knew of, I believe it was around 10 years old, a child 10 years old, and probably younger now. And this was years ago when I did the tours. So, but spirit-wise, extremely haunted. And I will tell you a story that has to do with mysterious Billy Smith. He was a boxer. He was one of the dirtiest boxers in town. Nobody wanted to box him because he was so dirty. He was a small guy in stature, but he was very powerful. And I was being prepped to learn the ghost tours, quote unquote ghost tours, for October. And one of the tour guides was down. We were down in the. You're familiar with the where the boots were. The section were in between that and the white slavery cell, where they would put the women in one at a time to break them. And I was sitting on a bench and listening to her talk about various things to help me with the ghost tour. And out of nowhere behind me was nothing but a wall. On the other side of that stone wall was where the pipes were.
Right.
So out of nowhere, it's quiet. I had a couple of other tour assistants that I would use. We had already done a tour, so they were down there with me. And we were just sitting there listening because they were going to help me on the tours. And out of nowhere, a hand grabbed me on my shoulder. Now, I'm a big guy. I've been doing investigations for a long time, but I screamed like a baby girl and jumped up, scared them, of course. Yeah. And she was talking about mysterious Billy Smith. The moment that she talked about how he was so dirty, he became a Shanghaier himself. So what he would do, because he wanted to make money, he would go and he would start Shanghaiing guys and then selling them to ship's captains. And what they did was Portland was just crazy. Portland was weird even back then.
Right.
And they decided not to wait for ship's captains to put in an order, so to speak, for men. Portland would go out and they would start getting these guys and putting them through the deadfalls, putting them in holding cells and hold them until they would get orders for guys rather than wait for orders.
Right.
So these guys were held in all these horrible holding cells, no boots on, one bucket to go to the restroom.
Exactly, yeah.
So all these guys were in the dark. They had no idea what happened to them, and stuffed like sardines. Mysterious Billy Smith would go and steal other guys that had been shanghaied and beat the living snot out of them, drag them to his holding cell and hold them.
Right.
While she was telling that story about how he would grab them and beat them is when I got grabbed. And it was so heavy and powerful, the hand grip, and obviously scared the living bejeebies out of me at the time.
Right, exactly.
So I believe, now I can't say 100% for sure, but I believe that was Mysterious Billy Smith. And it literally, I mean, it was a powerful grip, but it scared the living crap out of me. And so that was one of my scariest moments being in the tunnels. I wasn't even given a tour at the time.
We've seen orbs down there. We've seen all kinds of things down there. And that's what was really bad is that when we went to the Shanghai tunnels, it wasn't an official ghost hunt for me. It was just we wanted a tour. And we went down there and went below, and we were seeing all kinds of things. In fact, we were there. I'd never been in that area of the tunnels because we were in a different area when I went a long time ago because I had to climb down a ladder to get into the tunnels. And but this was, they opened up the museum, and you got to go down an area beneath, and it was just a whole new area for me, and all of these destroyed bar stools and things downstairs and all these things that are there. And it's like a city within the city. And, and I don't think anyone, who's not familiar with the Shanghai tunnels, if they come to Portland, they need to tour it. They need to go to the tour because
I don't know that they're doing them.
Are they doing them anymore?
Well, because of COVID, obviously, it's not happening now. I don't know what her plan is now that Michael has passed. I don't know.
Well, the museum is amazing.
The museum is amazing. I agree.
I'm glad they opened it because I remember when I was first introduced to the Shanghai tunnels, Michael gave me a tour then. It was when I first came to town. Somebody told me, "Oh, you need to take a Shanghai tunnel tour," and I did. I didn't exactly understand what it meant or what it was. It was a human trafficking story about sending people to China. But then, as I matured and got to know the area more and what the heritage was and what the history was. The second tour was more meaningful for me because not only did they have the museum there where you could see all of the things that they recovered from the old bars and from the old areas, going down into that tunnel and seeing more of that debris down there and a few other things and feeling those feelings down there. I mean, it was a cold, just a foreboding atmosphere.
Yeah.
You're not only underground, but it's dark. There's no lights.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing. You have to have flashlights
Just
down
the
there.
makeshift candle.
Oh yeah.
You know.
That's all you got.
Yeah.
That's all you got.
Well, and I was encouraged because at the time I was the only paranormal investigator on the team, as far as tour guides and stuff like that.
Right.
And so he encouraged me to spend as much time as I wanted to by myself
Right.
and investigate.
Right.
So when I had time, because I did so many tours and I was so busy, I did take some time and spend some time by myself. And I tell you what, there's a lot of spirits, a lot of voices, a
stuff.
lot of apparitions.
There is. Aaron,
So-
thank you so much for being on the program.
Absolutely.
I hear
Thanks
the
for having
music.
me.
It's telling me, look, I could talk all
Yes.
day with you.
Show your ring real quick. I gotta have you show that. That is just badass. I have to say that. But
My
anyways,
wife gave it to
beautiful.
me.
Love it.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It was a great interview. Thank you.
anytime. Thank you.
Channel Weird, guys. Check us out. We'll be here next week.